everybody. This is Erin McGrain with the Heartland Song Network, and it's my great pleasure this month to interview our industry spotlight person of the month, who is the venerable Eddie Moore. Eddie is an educator, a composer, and a very fine instrumentalist, and I'm looking forward to having our conversation today. Hey, Eddie, thank you for coming.
Hey Aaron, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
I'm great. How have you been?
I've been good. Coffee every day.
Well, I want to start by having you tell us a little bit about where you're from and what brought you to where you are right now here in Kansas City.
Okay. I'm originally from Los Angeles, California. I grew up in Houston, Texas. I originally moved to Kansas City to attend UMKC for like graduate degree and just kind of like honing my jazz improvisatory skills. And I've been here ever since. It's been since 2010.
Great. What's kept you here in Kansas City? Because you are a very fine jazz pianist as well as composer, producer, educator. What's kept you here in the Heartland?
Um, just like the music, I guess community. I built my band here, and so Eddie Moore and the Outer Circle kind of like launched out from here, and then all the dudes are from Kansas City. And over the years, it's just been a great center and a good place to kind of jump off to. And now I'm at the point where doing a lot of education and cultivating some stuff, hopefully inspiring the younger generation to kind of do what we did and kind of build careers for themselves.
What are your degrees? So you have an undergraduate degree from where?
I have an undergrad degree from Texas Southern in Houston, which is a HBCU, in music with jazz emphasis. And then pretty much the same degree, a graduate degree in music with jazz emphasis from UMKC.
From the conservatory here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you studying composing when you were in school, or was it mostly studying your instrument, which is a piano, if I think I said that, but
Right. In undergrad, I guess you take like composition and all that stuff like as like a basic requirement for a music program. So I did that in undergrad, but I started writing on my own just from being in like combo and groups. And then at UMKC I did independent study with
oh,
Bobby
Bobby
Watson.
Watson.
So I did composition there and then had already just kind of started writing naturally. And we did the first album kind of like my last year there. We were probably all still students, really.
That's great. Yeah, well, in Heartland Soundwave Network, we are all about supporting the art of the song and the songwriter. And I think especially during COVID, trying to keep everybody's creativity up and going without the opportunity to perform was difficult. I know for me. How was it for you?
It was weird actually because it was kind of the opposite. We were like I was in the middle of recording and releasing a project, and it kind of was a blessing in disguise because then it gave me all this time to learn a new craft, and at the same time we had just finished Tribe Studios, so it kind of put me in a position to be here every day and work on the project. I found out after we recorded Misunderstood that I was taking on the production producer role and was very inexperienced, but then COVID gave me the time to do that. So while we weren't performing, I was rolling out an album, which sounds crazy now. Like, what? And the album was just, I always write music for the time period, and it was a lot of things that we were going through, and a lot of things that I think like improvised music was going through. So it was kind of like the perfect storm and the perfect time, and it worked out. Kind of fast forwarded some things for me too, where I was maybe not trying to rely on performing so much,
Mhm.
and so this took things to writing remotely for artists and doing that, and kind of utilizing some other tools around me. The education thing, like I probably would never be teaching like online classes, but when everything went online, I immediately learned how to do that and do it the way that I thought would work for me and all that stuff. So it was like a rush, a storm. Like right now, it's the same time last year. I'm kind of like in chill mode.
Wow. I love several of the things that you said. I love that you were able to, this is such an overused word, but really pivot during that time and found another path out. So I heard you say two things I'd like you to tell me more about. First of all, the studio, which I believe you're in your studio right now. Is that true?
I am. I'm in
Okay.
the control room right now.
Okay. So I'd like you to tell us a little bit more about that studio and how that came about. And then secondly, also, I want to hear about your new teaching position. But let's start with the studio. Tell us where you are and tell us about what you're doing there.
The studio started. I moved into an arts collective. We're right on 19th and Main under Extroversion, and it was originally a group of artists of all different disciplines, and there was a studio here. So I kind of just started building a rehearsal space in my mind and a place where um I could run live rehearsals for people if they were experimenting, and a place to just experiment and like create. Um, and then it transformed in COVID where like now we can stream. Now it's more than a it's backline rehearsal space. It's a backline production space and kind of DIY where the artist can come in, bring their computer and just plug and play and then run everything to their setup.
So you mean if there's an artist out there that wants to do some recording, they can come into your studio and you're saying you've got everything already all set up there. They can do it remotely. Is that what you're saying too?
They don't have to record to my computer, and
Okay.
you don't necessarily need an engineer.
Interesting.
Yeah, like they could come in and engineer their own session from their own computer, mainly via USB. And then if they wanted to like do like a traditional trio or a group of people and then play and want to engineer, it can go both ways. So they could record anywhere from the room that they wanted to, and I wanted the artist to have that capability so that the engineer wouldn't be in the way for them.
Mm. So somebody that's really got some specific ideas about what they want to do, how they want to do it, and give them a chance to hands-on do it. That's sounds like that's what you were learning too, is a chance for you to explore in your own studio space and do some things you hadn't done before. And
Exactly.
and an album came out of that. So tell us about the music that you were making during COVID. Um, Tell us about that music and what the album is called and where you are with that process.
For sure. The album was called Misunderstood. It was from my newest group, We the People, and it was kind of like where we were with music and like a culmination of like all the things I had heard about, I guess, jazz music, from the jazz community and just like the music community at large and just like booking and touring. And so the title goes to that and the music being misunderstood. I think jazz is a misunderstood music where not getting into it, but the word doesn't really have a meaning, and jazz musicians or improvised musicians don't really. It's a kind of like a derogatory term for the
Mm.
genre of music. And so in the first track, it's like I'm playing synth for most of the album, and then I incorporated samples of Duke Ellington talking about what he felt about jazz from interviews that I watched, and kind of pieced
Yeah.
those in a production room. So you hear him talk about like there will only be music and good music, and it won't be genres and everything like that. And that's kind of the music and the energy of the music we were writing. Just we're in a super traditional city, so you can imagine like the music that I play and how it's perceived a lot of the time. And we just we did it here and we did it in Omaha. I did all the post production here and vocal stuff and a lot of like all the keyboard stuff here. Um,
Fantastic. Is that out now? Is it available for people to purchase and download?
yeah, it is available. It's on every platform, iTunes and
Hmm.
Spotify and all that stuff. So
What's the reception to the music been like?
it's been great. We're probably coming up on our year anniversary for it now. So the rollout was probably my best album rollout. I guess because people weren't busy, I was able to like grab great videos from friends and collaborators around the world. The friend that did the video for Worst Nights was actually a guy I met in Costa Rica. His name is Maurice. He's a great pianist and video editor, and I really wanted a car. We're both into cars and drifting and stuff, and so he did like a little drift video with his brother driving around in like the mountains of Costa Rica, and then we mashed it together remotely. I sent him some video and stuff, and then a friend of mine that did the video for Misunderstood is kind of crazy because we were looking for riot footage to use for the video, and he's in LA, and this we were putting the video together at this like crazy political time, and then people started rioting where he was,
Yeah.
and then it just kind of became real.
Uh,
And so we were able to get these videos and these things that were really great for the project. I think if I was judging, I guess like the success of the album by plays, it has like quadruple the plays my entire Outer Circle catalog has, which I
Fantastic.
feel good about.
Yeah, congratulations on that. This is really
Thank you.
great. I love this COVID success story. I mean, it really sounds like you were able to create some really timely music and keep yourself going forward, and actually kind of a breakthrough year for you with the starting of the new studio. You've also taken a new education. You've been an educator for a while, and I know you've taken a new position, and then also you developed a pretty robust online teaching schedule, right, during COVID. Tell us about how that works and what a student that would come and take piano for you. And do you teach more than just piano? Do you teach what all do you teach online? Tell us about how that
For
works.
sure. I guess I moved online, and I'm blessed that I played piano because it made it simple with just how the instrument works digitally and just electronically. So um I basically found a way. I host through Zoom, first of all. I kind of like how we are. And then the screen sharing is just golden because then I put up a MIDI keyboard. I can actually like maybe pull this up. And so I basically, this is the keyboard. And then when I play, the notes light up. So I was trying to do like a bird's eye view camera situation. It was just not working. So this has worked out pretty well for me where it tracks keystrokes.
Can you play a little something for me right now?
Yeah, let me see. Is it on? And then we talk about everything music. So and that's the other thing that online helps is because a lot of the kids, they're working in GarageBand. They're already kind of creating actually. So this, now I can screen share, a digital session. I'm kind of changing this over. A digital session for them, and then they can see like maybe how I like to create, and we can walk through these things on screen. We also talk a lot about piano, and when it comes to the transcribing and learning language thing, it's just like you're on the internet, so YouTube is always available, and we screen share, and they can hear everything great.
Yeah.
So I think you should be able to.
Oh
You hear the
yeah.
piano?
Wow. Fantastic.
So I know that there's a little bit of lag, so I just have to make sure that I slow it down. But just that's the other thing about being in the studio, is like learning about signal flow and where to patch things and how to get my sound to go. So I could pretty much play anything on my pedal. And so if I'm talking about a chord, I'll just hold a chord up.
God, that's fantastic. Can you give me 8 bars of something really pretty that you've written?
I'm basically running out of.
Yeah, thank you. That made my whole day. That was awesome.
Appreciate it. And then so like in that case, I'm running from here.
Oh yeah. So this is great. So you're really interactive with them in every way. That's fantastic. So it sounds to me almost like that not only has teaching online not been a hindrance, it's actually in some ways been a real tool so that you can do some things. Yeah, that's fantastic. What is the average age group? What's the demographic of your student?
It's kind of all over. A lot of my younger ones have grown up. I guess my youngest right now is maybe 11, and then my oldest is probably like my parents' age, like late
Wow.
60s, 70s. Which, I'm teaching one gentleman how to play Desperado, and therefore, they send me a picture of the chart. I have the chart. I can screen share and do all that, and we talk about reading music and everything. And then some of the kids are learning jazz. Some of them, a lot of them it's a lot of like how to learn music by ear because they want to learn how to play songs they know. And then that's how I get them we talk, in that case, we have to talk about theory. We have to talk about scales because my ultimate goal is like music freedom. And I feel like if you know scales and you know a little, the modes of a little bit just to get between major and minor and how chord progressions work, when you learn songs, that reinforces that. And then it just becomes like, you learn 10 songs by ear, you're going to figure some things out on your own for sure.
This is what, my husband Jeff says the same thing, that the learning the scales is the way to hop off of the page. Like that, it's the place where you begin, but then that's how you get off of the page, is that the structure of it. So you actually are kind of teaching, I guess. Well, tell me about, in your mind, what the relationship between composition and improvisation are, because to me there's a real connection there, because it's coming from someplace inside you, both of those things, right?
For sure. They're actually the same. The improvisation is more of composing on the spot. I guess if it's with multiple people, I won't necessarily say a jazz thing, but if it's with multiple people, then you're composing with other people on the fly. We might think about that as a solo and the pianist playing linear lines or something like that, but it doesn't have to be. Excuse me. It can be, the more, if you know the rules of theory, which are the rules of composition, then you start to make these decisions on the fly based on like what sounds good. But then if the drummer changes something or the bass player changes something and you're forced to react, you can stumble upon something that you never thought of and then just roll with it. And then you have the opportunity to go back and kind of cultivate that later, or it lives in the moment and it was just that thing. So I think about them as the same,
Mm.
which I guess like when you learn how to improvise, I come at it from a theoretical standpoint first, and then we go to the record and we reinforce that. So they get
Mm.
to see how like someone else would use minor pentatonic over the blues. Instead of me saying, "Hey, this is the scale. You can play any notes out of this minor pentatonic scale." And that's like, "Oh, that's cool," but then you're missing phrasing, you're kind of in the dark bumping into things. So when you go to records, it's like turning on the light and saying, "Oh, Oscar Peterson likes to do this," and you learn little pieces of language. And then we practice doing that, and then you can manipulate them. So then now when you're composing on the fly, you have your own personality that's built upon other aspects of music that you've learned by ear.
I really respect improvisational artists. It's not something that I do well at all. I have written many songs, but it feels somehow safer to me to be able to do it slowly and to take it apart and play it bar by bar, and to think about it, to think it through, as opposed to just, I think, the bravery, but I imagine, as you said, the freedom of being able to compose in a fluid moment, which is improvisation. I think there must be a real freedom to that. I've never been able to quite get that. It's probably because I'm not technically a good enough player. I do think that there is, um, the more technically apt you are, I think it makes it a little easier to make those decisions and feel confident about them in the moment.
For sure.
Um,
It's I was scared at first. For me, it happened later in life. Like I actually went to college as a freshman wanting to be a jazz major, but knew I didn't really know how to play it. And I was in for a rude awakening. And in that case, every time a solo came to me, I was like terrified. Just like didn't know what to play. But I mean, even today I had a lesson with like a hip hop artist who's learning to play piano, but makes music already. And so his goal this week, we're talking about F major and what's in F major. And we were talking about the progressions and how that works. And I go, all right, your goal is to make a beat in F major. Come back next week. He made one. And then he was like, all right, cool. I got it. It sounded really good, actually. And then we started picking apart the elements. What chord changes are you going from? And like how it fits in the scale. And then like just like this awareness came to him. And then improvisation isn't all like just the lines or scales you play over something. It's like learning substitutions for chords and how things work. So we then talked about, I think his right now his thing is 2-5-1s. So I was like, okay, well, you're going between these two key centers. you can spruce it up by setting up one of these key centers and playing 2-5-1s to this. And then we got into that whole thing. And, now he's like thinking about how he can enhance his track and these other things that he never even knew about. And it's just in that one key, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you feel like when you're teaching, does it spark things in your own brain? Like it seems to me that when I've given workshops on a variety of different things, I always learn something by the questions that people ask. It makes me reevaluate, like, well, that's a great question. Why do I do it that way? How do I do it? Do you experience that as well?
I do, all the time. And um, I have to always explain things differently for different people because
Oh,
different people learn
learn
differently,
differently for sure. Yep.
And so we were talking, he was going between 1 and 6, or no, 4 and 6. And so then I had to introduce minor. And like I talked about it as like, you're gonna laugh, the parallel universe of major. you know?
Opposite land.
Yeah,
Yeah.
opposite land, like same scale. But
Yeah.
different, same
Yeah.
notes. And then like, and getting into, because I guess to do a 2-5-1 to a minor key, you have to use harmonic minor and all that stuff. So we talked about like, okay, well, in this parallel universe, there's like, a little couple side alternate universes of that. And then he immediately got it,
Yeah, that's
and
cool.
doing those things. So
So I know you took a new teaching position. Tell us what about that. Where are you teaching now besides
I,
your private practice?
for sure. I took a position at KU as adjunct piano. Right now I'm teaching combo, and I'm preparing a history of hip hop for them, which I
Cool.
think will launch in the spring. Actually, like this year, next year, 2022,
Yeah,
which has been
congratulations.
cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
congratulations on that. So how do you balance? You've got a lot going. I mean, you've got your studio work, so you have, clients and that coming in and want to use your studio and have you help them with that. You've got your online teaching, you've got your adjunct professor position. How do you balance that with your own creative life and your own bands and the music
Um,
you're making?
for sure. I'm super organized. I have to kind of like live from my calendar.
Mm.
And then I'm trying to not. I think the most important thing is not overwhelming myself with balance of life. Like
Mm.
I have to force myself to take some days off for myself, because
Yeah.
in the middle I'm like I'm teach like even today it's like okay, so I'm teaching, and then we have a combo concert tonight, and then in between I'm practicing the stuff I need to, because I'm usually sitting in here most of the day. And then in that case, I'm for the hip hop course, I'm doing a ton of research. So I just like dedicate some time to reading and getting the class prepared and stuff like that. Um, and I just stepped into a full time musician role a while ago. So I'm kind of used to switching some things. So right now, the live performance realm doesn't get a lot of my time. We're not performing a ton. That's why I kind of say I'm in chill mode. I'm not
And
booking any tours or trying to do any of that right now. I'm not really focused on where we're going to perform and when's the next album and project coming out. My focus right now is just like growing as a musician, doing research for the class and dedicating time to KU, and then dedicating the time for my private lessons, which is actually what keeps I think like my mental sanity as a creator, because they actually want to know about music. It doesn't matter
mm,
what we're talking about. They're excited about music. So then that changes my day when I get like depressed or down on some other aspect of the professional music world. Cuz I'm I'm a sideman, but I'm mostly in the band leader role. And in that case, I'm the manager, the band leader, the writer, all of these roles, and the promoter and stuff. So it's a lot, and those different hats start to wear on one person. So I'm kind of glad that they can rotate like that, and I can focus on some other things. So it's fun.
what yeah, are you a person that do you schedule out your week in advance, or how do you keep yourself organized? What are some tips and tools that you're using that work for you? Because you are a very busy man, very
Um,
successful.
yeah, I do schedule it out, but I guess the main pillar is like the regular thing, which are like private lessons. So I just have them on repeat. And then when I look at my schedule, everything kind of fits in between that, which usually means I'm not playing a ton of gigs. and then um, and in that case, for me to perform, I have to look 2 months out so I
Yeah.
can prepare and then look at rehearsal because the other two gentlemen in the group are extremely busy and we don't have time to take a gig next week because they're most likely booked or there's no time to rehearse. So the calendar, I mean, just being really strategic with your calendar and using it. I think the other tool with, emails and stuff is like what is it, Boomerang, where you can schedule your emails out and
Yep.
kind of schedule those things to go. I'm up late, so I'll schedule emails that need to go out in the morning, the night before, and then I can wake up at like 9 o'clock and not have to play catch up.
Yeah. And somebody just sent your emails out for you, right?
Exactly. Exactly. But it works
Yeah.
out pretty well.
How about just a few more questions for you? I really appreciate you spending so much time, and especially playing music for me. That was awesome. That was a treat. What does the future hold for you? What would you like to have happen for you next?
So much. I would like to I mean, just continue to inspire. Um, and then play more and around, I'm just trying to figure out the best way to create a place where more artists like myself can like do their own thing, which actually is like almost like happening. It's like on the horizon. And then if and then maybe like having that attached to like a performance avenue.
Mm,
I've thrown and cultivated shows and I'm cultivating stuff now with Charlotte Street in the Proto Lab, but like that way I can route people in when they're passing through, like friends from the coast, and then keep that like a music hub that is centered around education where we can inspire and teach young people music so they might not have to be jazz musicians. I don't even really care.
yeah.
And then like attached to like a performance venue and just be independent. That's my thing. Can building an independent base here, but then like touring and kind of building a team to like take some of the load off me with like perform. I still want to perform pretty heavily, but not deal with the stuff that I hear, which is just natural. It's just the name of the game.
Yeah.
I
I
think that's
love
the
it.
future for me. It's pretty close, and we're making some movement,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Well, I hope you never leave. You're such a positive pillar here in Kansas City, and I just appreciate you spending all our time with us today. So that's great.
Oh, thanks for
Last
having me.
question. What advice would you give to young songwriters starting out right now, new
Ooh.
musicians?
Um, young songwriters. Like what age?
I say let's not put it to an age. Let's say just beginning to songwrite at whatever age.
Okay. Um, learn your craft. Learn your instrument. You don't have to be like a super heavy classical pianist or jazz musician, but like learn your instrument. And then just whatever you like learn that music. Like learn music by ear and then learn about it. I think that's the most important thing. Like if you don't ever learn how to read music or write music down, learn music by ear and figure out what's going on and then manipulate that and have fun creating. I think that's the most important thing, especially if you're like if you're coming through the jazz avenue, we forget about that a lot.
Mhm.
Like music is something that's fun and you should be experimenting and you should learn all types of music because there's all types of little gems in everything and you might write a pop song one day. Or you might like
Yeah,
you might write or you might just be playing your instrument in that avenue
yeah,
and then your expertise come in, and you'd be like, well, I'm young. And it's like, yeah, but that's when it's fun.
yeah. That's great. Who's inspired you?
Oh man, a lot of people. I think in the last 6 months, the most inspiring person close to me is Ryan Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got some great Kansas City musicians here. Ryan Lee is a Kansas City musician. Just we're so fortunate to have had, well, people like Bobby Watson and yourself and many, many others here. So that's cool that it was somebody local. Who inspired
Yeah.
you? Who inspired you when you were just getting started? Who are you looking up to?
I was really inspired by Robert Glasper. Just I guess right when I was about like 18, 19, a freshman in college. And he had a different take on traditional jazz trio that was really fresh. It was a different sound than he has now. But that was just really inspiring to me. The songs are different. It was like really fresh and he was playing. I like the colors and the melodies he was playing. It didn't make me think too much. Um, that was probably the first real big influence as I came because like I said, as a freshman in jazz, like I didn't know anything.
Yeah. Maybe that was best that you just went ahead and went into the degree not knowing what you didn't know, right? So you
I would not suggest that for anyone. But yeah, no, it turned out great actually. My experience now that I'm an educator, it like changed my perspective on just people and music.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for everything. Tell us where we can find your music and where can we find more about you online?
You can find pretty much everything about me at www.eddiemoremusic.com. I have all my stuff there with Eddie Moore and the Outer Circle and We the People. It's on all different platforms. I keep an updated calendar there, so if you're looking for shows and stuff like that, you can go there and just keep up with everything Eddie and We the People.
Everything Eddie. Well, I want to keep up with everything Eddie. Thank you again so much for spending our time together. Thank you, Eddie. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Have a good one.